Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Yasharal and Yahudah, you are now in the midst of Hezekiah. His song entitled Pure, right? It's the Shabbat. See, the witness is about the Shabbat. In the witness, you are established in the Shabbat. It's the Shabbat, y'all. And we, the people of the book broadcast, is going down. Here to call to wake up Jacob and Yaakov. Yaakov and Yahudah. Grafted in Gentiles, everybody that wants to receive the witness. We gonna listen to this. Because this is Shabbat. Listen. Listen. Almost out of here. Listen. The only way this is possible by receiving, it's the only way this is possible if you receive the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. You have to receive the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You got to want Yahuwah's Ruach in you. Because it's going to quicken you. It's going to make you alive. Establish you in this witness. Give you the kingdom of Yahuah. Access. See, I don't want the lake of fire. I want the kingdom through Yahusha Ha'Mashiach's witness. Listen. Yahuwah's made my desires pure. And see, Hezekiah was singing this song, and I can identify with it because he's made my desires pure, right? And even having the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, I don't sin. I don't even want nothing to do with sin. I don't want anything to do with the works of the flesh. I don't want nothing to do with these pagan idols and all of this stuff. He's made my desires pure. Listen. For me, you made my desires pure. Listen. Carriages. All that you have for me, you made my desires pure. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, all that you have for me. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, all that you have for me. You made my desires pure. Listen, this is the Shabbat. Just go with me for a while. All that you have for me made my desires pure.
See all that weight that was on our shoulders. You made my desires pure. What's the things of this world?
You made my desires pure.
I want to say thank you, Father.
You made my desires pure. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Listen, he's made our desires pure. He's made our desires pure. Listen, it's the Shabbat, y'all. Right? It's the Shabbat. We going in. Hezekiah. I didn't own the rights to the first one. Pure. And I don't own the rights to this one. But it's the Shabbat. And we about to go in. But we gonna pray first. We gonna pray that the Ruach Ha'Qodesh causes a quickening in you in this besought. Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, I pray that by your Ruach Ha'Qodesh, your word through me will go forth. In the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Listen, Yahuah, the words that you gave Yahusha, he's given me. Yahuah has recorded them. And I have received them. I have emunah that has established me in your word. And I believe and have received your Ruach Ha'Qodesh. I'm walking in the witness. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh, Yahuah, the water and the blood. I'm walking in these witnesses, Yahuah. And in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, you've called me to declare this witness to your people. You told me to tell them, son, let them know they must receive the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and be established in the total witness of Yahusha. Yahuah, I'm doing my best to labor. And Yahuah, I know there's still more that I can do. And as you lead me, as you guide me, Yahuah, as you show me in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh where to go, what to do, how to do it, I will do it, Yahuah. I will obey you. Yahuah, I will obey you. For as many as are led by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, these are the sons of Yahuah. I want to be led by you. Yahuah, I need you to take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuah, I don't want to cause anyone to be turned out of the way. I don't want to cause anybody to stumble. I don't want to cause anybody to come up lame. But Yahuah, I believe in this besought truth. I believe in this Ruach Ha'Qodesh, this essence of you, this power that you have given to me, that you put in me. Yahuah, I believe it and I receive it. Yahuah, I pray that they would receive it. Those that are under the sound of my voice, that they would hear and receive it. That you would quicken them in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You would make them alive in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Yahuah. There's no Yeshua in Moshe alone. There's no Yeshua in the Torah alone. There's no Yeshua because you have stated in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach that he was the way. That everybody that comes got to come through him. Yahuah, I give you praise for Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, my kinsman redeemer. I give you praise for my kinsman redeemer. Yahuah, I give you praise. I give you praise. Yahuah, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuah, my strength and my redeemer. I thank you. It's the Shabbat. It's the rest of Yahuah. It's the rest of Yahuah. The rest that comes, the Shabbat that comes, in having received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Because, see, in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, the Shabbat is always. Now, listen. I'm not saying that we don't worship Yahuah on the Shabbat, on the Shabbat day, but the rest of Yahuah, that's supposed to remain, continue, and dwell in us. The peace of Yahuah that passes all understanding is keeping us in Hamashiach. And through Hamashiach, his witness, his Torah, we receive it. And because we do, we have Shabbat Shalom. Hallelujah. You know it's Hezekiah. You know the song is Yerushalayim. Listen. You know, I've listened to it several times. This is why we do what we do. to fulfill Yahuwah's witness, to go to the place that he set apart for his people. We going in. We going in. We're going to wait this song out though. Ooh, Rabba. Yahuah, Yahuah. Yahuah, Yahuah. Yahuah, Yahuah. In the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Ruach Ha'Qodesh, lead me, guide me. Ruach Ha'Qodesh, speak to me. I want your people to receive the witness. Those that you have chosen. Those that you have ordained. Those that you have set apart for this Shabbat. This rest, this eternal rest. This eternal life. Yahuah. Hallelujah. That's the goal. That's the goal. That's the goal. These are the lands of our captivity. Though through Yahusha Ha'Mashiach I'm free from the curse, because I received the witness. I'm free already. But salvation, the fulfillment, is the restoration of a people, of a kingdom, and of a territory. And that's what we're doing. We preaching the witness in order to establish the kingdom. In order for us to be able to return to a land that Yahuwah has chosen for us. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, let's go in. Let's go in. Let's go in on this Shabbat. Listen. We are in Acts, right? We're in Acts. We're in Acts, the 22nd chapter. No, actually Acts the 23rd chapter, right? Paul pleading with the nation and the people, right? Now, understand, right? Paul, unlike Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right? He had the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in measure, right? Right? Just like me. I have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in measure. And if you have received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right? And if you have received this Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you have the witness of Yahuwah. You have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in measure. Right? Right? Paul has always been a determined man. He's always been determined to do what he felt was right. Right? Right? Even as he persecuted the Yahudiym that were in the way, that had received the witness. He did so with a tenacity, right? Being straightened, right? Being zealous, right? Of the Torah, right? That was who Paul was, right? That is how Paul was raised. That's how Paul was built, right? So when Paul received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, who he was didn't change, right? His direction changed, right? So Paul was still a straightened man, right? He was still the kind of man who was going to do what he felt was right, right? But the difference between Paul before this witness and after is that he had the Ruach Ha'Qodesh of truth, right? Which was available to him. That if he had listened to it all the time, he would be led and guided into all truth, right? The Ruach Ha'Qodesh would have shown him what to do and how to do it, right? Paul was instructed by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh not to go to Jerusalem, right? And unlike Yahusha Ha'Mashiach having the Ruach Ha'Qodesh without measure, Yahusha was straightened to do what his Father said, right? And there was nothing within him that desired to do anything other than what Yahuah had said, right? Because he had Yahuwah's witness without measure. Yahusha had the Ruach HaQodesh, right? All power. And the Shamayim and the Eretz, right? Yahusha had at his disposal, at his use, right? All power, right? All wisdom, right? He didn't just have the Ruach of wisdom in measure. He had the Ruach HaQodesh wisdom without measure. He had the Ruach of wisdom and understanding without measure. The Ruach of counsel and of might without measure. The Ruach of knowledge and the fear of Yahuah without measure. But Paul didn't. Paul had what he needed to get the job done and to keep him established if he continued to be led by the Ruach HaQodesh that would keep him established in the faith. As long as he continued to keep Torah and obey, he had what he needed to get the job done, right? And all he needed to do was listen to the Ruach HaQodesh, right? Paul ended up in Jerusalem because he didn't listen to the Ruach HaQodesh. Paul did not receive the wisdom, the witness, the instruction that came from him by the Ruach HaQodesh. He was straightened, right? And you know, when Paul made that decision, Yahuah already knew that Paul was going to do what he was going to do, right? He knew it. He knew what Paul was going to do before Paul knew what he was doing, right? But Paul had already purposed in his heart that, he's ready to go and be bound in Jerusalem and to die if necessary, right? But that was Paul's desire, right? That was Paul being straightened to do what Paul wanted to do for Yahuah and Yahusha, right? Now, the Ruach HaQodesh, Yahuah and Yahusha said to him, don't go to Jerusalem. Don't do it, right? Paul was straightened, right? And in that text, at no time did Paul give anyone the impression that he was going to do anything other than what he had already purposed in his heart to do. And that was go to Jerusalem, right? Paul said it was for Pentecost. But Paul probably went just to be able to tell the church what he's accomplished, right? In the Ruach HaQodesh. To go to Jerusalem, right? Headquarters, and begin to tell them the things that he had done successfully, right? But Yahuah didn't tell him to do that, right? Because Yahuah, it wasn't necessary for Paul to do that, because Yahuah told Paul not to go to Jerusalem, right? He did. Paul wanted to give a report. He needed to give a report. He felt like he needed to give a report to those that are of report, those that are of leadership, right? In the progress of what was occurring, right? But they didn't call Paul. Yahusha called Paul. And all Paul needed to do was obey the Ruach HaQodesh, right? And walk in what Yahuah has given him, because, that's what the witness looks like, right? Now, even though Paul made that decision to go into Jerusalem, it came with suffering, right? Because when you willfully choose not to obey the Ruach HaQodesh, there's consequences that come with it. And Yahuah even warned them of the consequences through Agabus, right? And I also believe that in Philip's house, his 4 virgin daughters that prophesied, right, also warned Paul, but it's not recorded because there's things that are not necessarily all recorded in the text, right? Because these things that are recorded and written were written because, they were what was meant to be in there in reference to, personal experience and knowledge, right? So we have this record of the disciples by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh telling Paul. Then we have this record of Philip and his daughters prophesying, right? And then we have this account of Agabus, whose name is Locus, right? Who comes to give Paul a message that in essence reveals that he's going to be devoured, right? He's going to be put in chains. He's going to be denied the right to do what he's been doing in the past and preaching and witnessing to the Gentiles and to the Yahudiym. Yahuah never wanted Paul to do this, but Paul was straightened. And as Yahudiym, right, who have received the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right, we got to be careful that we're not moving our own agendas forward, right? We're not doing what we want to do. We're not taking our assemblies in the direction that we want to take them in, right? We're not taking and leading the people of Yahuah in the direction that we want them to go in. Because it's Yahuah's people. It's Yahuah's assembly. It's Yahuah's sheep. He's the shepherd, right? We enter into the sheepfold. And yes, we have designated shepherds of the flock, but we need to, as the shepherds of the flock, understand that there is an immense responsibility to lead Yahuah's people in the direction that Yahuah wants them to go in. Not because we feel that it's what we want to do, right? And Paul took his disciples into a place in Jerusalem where Yahuah had not necessarily wanted them to go. Oh, y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me. Listen. Acts 21 and 4. And finding disciples, we tarried there 7 days, who said unto Shaul through the Ruach Ha'Qodesh that he should not go up to Jerusalem. Right? Right? Yahuah spoke a word to Shaul and told Shaul not to go to Jerusalem. Right? Previously, Yahuah appeared to Paul in a vision and told him to remain in the city that he was in spite of the fact that there was Yahudiym that wanted to kill him because he had many people there. He had much people there. Right? Don't be afraid to leave. And Paul ended up staying there for 3 years. Right? All you have to do is listen to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And you know what? Sometimes when you realize that what you may be doing is off course, you just need to repent and get it right with Yahuah. You need to really repent and get it right with Yahuah. And ask Yahuah to forgive you and allow his Ruach Ha'Qodesh to put you on the right path. Because, if you continue to move in a direction that Yahuah has called you not to move in, there are going to be consequences until you repent, until you acknowledge what you did. There's a reason why this is in here, because this is what it looks like. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh will tell you exactly what you need to do, right? But it's up to you to obey it. As many as are led by the Spirit of Yahuah, these are the sons of Yahuah, right? The Ruach Ha'Qodesh, Yahusha said, is going to lead you and guide you. Lead you, guide you into all truth, right? The Ruach Ha'Qodesh. That's what it's due. That's what Yahuah and Yahusha in you does. It quickens you. It makes you alive, right? It takes you from death to life. And you have an obligation in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh to listen. You wouldn't give you the Ruach Ha'Qodesh to give it to you to use it at your disposal. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh ain't something you can call on when you need it. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh is to govern everything that you do in him. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh is what you need before you even step your foot out of the bed. It's what you need before you step into the bed to lay down at night to keep your mind. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh is what you need. The witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach is what you need that's going to guide you into all truth. It's going to establish you in the witness, right? It's going to make you that select righteous that is taken from the righteous plant. It's that which is going to keep you in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, in the vine. You can't continue to move in a direction that the Ruach Ha'Qodesh has not told you to go in. And listen, if you received the word from the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and you know it was a word from the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and you fighting it, shame on you, because you know what? You're quenching his Ruach. You're quenching his Ruach. So that's what Paul did. You know, Paul, he did. He in verse 8, he says, in the next day, after Paul had left, right? And the scripture does not even suggest that Paul gave attention to what the Ruach Ha'Qodesh says, because he was so straitened to go. Listen. And the next day, he says, and the next day, we that were of Paul's company departed and came to Caesarea, right? And they ended up in Philip's house. Philip's the evangelist, who had 4 daughters, right? Verse 9. And the same man had 4 daughters, virgins, which did prophesy. So we were at the house and they prophesied. What do you think they prophesied? We don't got the report, but they prophesied. They prophesied. And they tarried many days in Caesarea, right? And then lo and behold, here comes Agabus the prophet from Judea, right? 1 witness, 2 witness. And when he was come unto us, he took Paul's girdle. So this man walked up to Paul. When he got to him and identified him, he walked up to Paul, grabbed his girdle, took it, and bound his hands and bound his feet, and said unto him, Thus saith the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, so shall the Jews in Jerusalem bind the man that owns this girdle and shall deliver him into the hands of the Gentiles. Did he have to? No. But Yahuwah already knew that he was going to go through with it, because even in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, Paul, who was straitened because that was just his personality, right? That was who Paul was, right? And to a large degree, Yahuwah called him because Yahusha called him because he knew that he would be straightened. Listen, after Paul was with Ananias, and Ananias came and ministered to Paul, and the scale fell from his eyes, and he prayed for Paul, and Paul received the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and was baptized. Listen, Paul, after he had ate, because he had fasted for some days, right, he went straightway into the synagogue and began to preach Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Are you kidding me? Straightway. He was driven. Yahuwah knew he was driven. But Yahuwah warned Paul by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And Paul just did not want to adhere to it. He had witnesses. Right? Now, again, Yahusha is going to take all things and work them together, right? Because Paul did not want to blatantly, well, he blatantly did, but he wasn't doing it for malicious reasons. He just felt like he needed to make sure that the church in Jerusalem understood the work that he was doing and how successful it was. As if that they were the ones that he answered to in that respect. It was Yahusha that gave him the commission. It was Yahusha that gave him the commission. So man of Yahuah in you, you who serve in the assemblies, you who are moving an agenda forward that Yahuah has not told you to do in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you need to not quench the Ruach and obey what he told you. Because there's consequences to this, right? There's consequences to this, right? There's consequences, right? Because Paul did not want to. See now, listen to it, and as I go into this, and the Ruach Ha'Qodesh shows me, right? Had Paul not went to Jerusalem, right? The Jews that were pursuing him into Jerusalem would have never found him there. They would have never found him there, right? They would have never found him there. See, but they knew Paul was on their way to Jerusalem. It was straightened, so all they needed to do is get to Jerusalem and create a ruckus, right? If Paul had not went to Jerusalem, he would have never been there. And who knows what the apostles that had received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach that instructed in reference to what has been done in the message of Yahusha, who knows whether or not they would have actually been there to quell that situation, because they could have said, listen, we know what Paul's doing because Paul has received letter from us and we are declaring that this is what should be done, right? But no, Paul went on his own. He went on his own. And he walked right into it when Yahuah warned him. Right? Because that was who Paul was. Determined. I'm straightened to tell you that you need to receive the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach at all costs, because that's what Yahusha told me to do. Now, everything that I do, every word that I preach is going to point to that, because that's what he's called me to do, right? And I know eventually I am going to go foots out of this construct, this video, and I'm feet on the ground, right? Because the witness requires it. But you know what? I can't do it until Yahusha tells me. I believe in my heart that's what he's going to have me do, but I can't do it until he tells me. Because, listen, I'm not the one to go out and to do a thing without Yahuah's witness. Not without the witness of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh saying, yeah, you go. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because I don't want to be in a place that Yahuah don't want me, right? Now, I don't mind suffering for righteousness because I'm in a place and I may have to suffer persecution because I'm in a place of Yahuah, in the will of Yahuah, and part of that place may require some suffering. Oh, yeah, that's a different story. But it's another thing altogether to be in a place, right, doing something, right, in the name of Yahuah, right, that he ain't told you to do because you ain't listened to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Paul and Barnabas struck out because they had received a word by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh that said, set apart unto me Paul and Barnabas for the work which I have called them. That was Paul's mission. All Paul needed to do was fulfill the call that Yahuah had given him, right? And if he would have continued in that, right? Because, He came with some persecution because you told him it would, but he was in the will. He was in obedience to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Right? Now here's the thing, right? If you have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh speaks to you, right? Unless in here you're overriding him, right? Right? Because you do, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Chagav, shut up! Go lay down! Tell you, the devil, she ain't barking at nothing. She ain't barking at nothing. So, the Ruach in you, right, is going to drive you to do the things that are righteous. But the mind, the thoughts that are not in subjection because of whatever the motives are, will cause you to not hear what the Ruach is saying. That's why, you got to keep your heart and mind on Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Because listen, right? You don't have the Ruach without measure. You have what you need to get the job done. And you got to rely on that to get your job done. And when Yahusha knows that you ain't hearing him on the inside, he'll send somebody on the outside and say, hey, by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And he knew it was the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Don't do this. If you smart, you going to pump the brakes. And you're like, okay, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. Pump the brakes. But if you're not, and you straightened, because in here, you feel that this and what you're trying to do is more important than what you're receiving in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh from your belly, the flow living the living water. If you can't receive the witness of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, then that's what? This is what befalls you. Right? This is what befalls you. Right? Paul found himself in Jerusalem with his disciples. Right? Who did not want him to go. They pleaded with Paul. After Agabus came in and gave the word, they pleaded with Paul. I don't know why I'm on this, because I thought I covered this pretty well. But the Ruach Ha'Qodesh has me here still. Listen. Those that were with Shaul begged him, entreated him not to go to Jerusalem. Don't do that. Don't do it, Paul. Don't do it. Don't do it. Right? Don't do it. Begging him, entreating him. Right? Paul says to them, why are you making me, why are you coming to me with these tears? Why are you breaking my heart? Breaking your heart. Listen, man. We are listening to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You ain't. You breaking our hearts. Right? But it's perspective. It's what he sees. Paul saw that he needed to go to Jerusalem in spite of what the Ruach Ha'Qodesh was saying. Like, what? What? No. We have a commitment. We have a responsibility to listen to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and to listen to those who we know that have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, that have a word. Because I'm not the only one that has a word. I may be the one that Yahuah is leading me in the vision. I may be the evangelist. I may be the pastor and the teacher. But listen, if there's some times when I ain't connecting, listen, he'll send people with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh to give a word to me to put me in the place that I need to be if I receive it. Well, Paul didn't. And you know what they said? When they realized that he wasn't going to take heed, Yahuah, let your will be done. And Yahuah already established that because, Yahuah knew when he sent Agabus, he was telling Paul exactly what was going to happen, because you know what? And he didn't even tell Paul exactly what was going to happen. He didn't tell Paul he was going to get beat down. He didn't tell Paul he was going to beat down, almost to the point where if he wasn't there was no intervention, he would have got beat to death. Right? He didn't tell Paul that. He said, you're going to be bound hand and foot. You're going to be given over to the Gentiles. Right? Because now, seeing that you want to go your way, right, I'm going to establish a way that's going to work in what you have done. Okay. So they seized Paul, drug him out, beat him up, right? There was an intervention, right? Right. And now we're in the 23rd verse, 23rd chapter. Because in the 22nd chapter, we have Paul, right? After having been rescued by the chief and the centurions from the hands of these Jews that was putting a beat down on him because he didn't listen to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And I'm going to reiterate that, because he didn't listen to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. He got that whooping. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, you better listen to that Ruach Ha'Qodesh, or he'll give you that whooping. Yeah, because you just can't go outside what the Ruach Ha'Qodesh says and do what you want to do, because you're going to get a whooping. Yeah, he's going to warn you. You know, and he does that all the time. Listen, when you have Yahuwah's Ruach Ha'Qodesh, he tells you, he tells you, right? You got the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, and you know some girl you used to date, all of a sudden you get a phone call from her. Hey, how you doing? I seen you on Facebook. Man, you looking good, right? What you been up to? Ruach, I said, man, don't get involved with that. Hang up on that. Don't get involved with that, man. Don't get involved with that. But you listen to it, because she feeding that head of yours like, oh yeah, how you doing? I'm good. Yeah, I'm taking care of myself. I ain't mentioned Yahuah yet. I'm taking care of myself, doing the right thing, trying to be a better man, oh yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I need, a better man. Yeah. Well, I'm doing my thing, right? Ruach Ha'Qodesh warn you, don't do that. Don't get in that way. Don't get in that way. Don't go that way. Don't do it. But then you be like, she be like, oh, hey, you ought to come by. Wait, you still at that same spot you used to hang out at a time? No, I don't hang out there no more. I'm trying to be a better man. Yeah, I'm just trying to be a better man. I ain't hanging out like that no more. But I'm still out and about. Yeah, well, maybe you need to be out and about in the place where I'm at. Well, you never know. Where you be out and about at. I'll be out and about over here. Well, I got to go over that way tomorrow around 12 o'clock, And the Ruach constantly tell you, what is you doing? What is you saying? Why are you going that way? We don't sin. Why? But, you ain't listening, right? Well, yeah, I'll be over that way at 1 o'clock. Oh, well, I'm going to come by, because I'm going to see you. I'm going to see what you look like in person, right? Oh, yeah. It's the Ruach, I guess. Then all of a sudden, you like, okay, I get over here, Everybody calling you. Aki like, yo, man, what's up? Oh, nothing, Ak, what's going on? Listen, man, I'm about to go over here and do this. I want to know if you want to come with me, hang out. Well, Ak, I got a few things I need to do. He gave you a witness, tried to get you out, right? Come on, man, you want to? Nah, I got something I need to do. Gave you an opportunity, way of escape. Try to get you where you don't mess up and go where you ain't supposed to go, right? I ain't gonna go. I got that. All right, bro. Well, listen. I love you, man. We'll see you at Midrash, or we'll see you at Shabbat service. All right. We're gonna be there. All right. You jump in that car and you head over towards that way, right. Get a phone call, right, from another Ak. Yo, man, what's going on? Not Aki. What's up? Nothing, man. Look, I want to, I got some things I want to talk to you about the Torah a bit, man. Trying to bounce some things off you. I want to know what you think. Oh man, yeah. Well, look, bro. I got something. I got an appointment I gotta make. I got something I gotta do. Maybe I can get with you afterwards, right? Maybe I can get with you afterwards. Well, yeah. I kind of need. Well, I tell you what. Give me a call when you get done what you're doing, and I'll tell you whether or not I'm gonna be available, Aki. But I really need you to come by. All right, yeah. Well, I'll give you a call when I get done. Deuce witnesses, right? Because Ruach told you one. You got two people telling you one, but you persistent in going. So you meet there, 1:00. You there? See there? Got on everything tight, right? Right, showing everything, right? You receive the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. You don't sin, but now you entertaining the idea of transgressing the Torah. Yeah, you entertaining the idea. Actually, been entertaining it the whole time, but you ain't listen to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. So Yahuah is gonna say, okay. He telling you, he said, listen, you do this, there gonna be consequences, and you override. You override, right? You doing what you're doing. You done gone over there. Now, you ain't sinned. Right, in the sense that you went and you dove into something, right, but the same place, Ema sees you, and it ain't rocket science. You know what Aki is doing, you know what Aki doing, right. So now she sees you, and she a good Ema. She gonna let you know she seen you. Hey, Ak, how you doing? Shalom, shalom. She watched you. Now she done seen you. Right? Now you know you wrong. Right? You didn't have to get that point. She know you wrong. She know old girl. She know who she is. Right? It never had to happen. Because all you needed to do was listen to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Right? Because it'll bring you to an open shame. Right? Oh yeah, Paul was brought to an open shame. Paul's intentions had nothing to do with his desire to sin. Right? In the sense that, you might have been a little bit different. But what Paul was doing, right, was not that, but it was a disobedience nonetheless. Because Yahuah had informed him what he should not do. And he did. He did it. Right? So now Paul, he trying to plead his case to the Yahudiym, constantly trying to get the approval and plead for the brethren. Right? He didn't have to be in that place. He didn't have to be in this place. And I'm so glad that Yahuah revealed this text to me the way he has. Right? Because Yahuah has given us the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in measure. He's given us what we need to get the job done. We got to continually trust him in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh in order to get the job done. See, listen, that's why you got to have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, because you ain't going to get the job done. You ain't going to be successful in the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. That's why he told his disciples, I need you to tarry and wait for the promise of the Father, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, which establishes you in the kingdom of Yahuah and Yahuah, because it's me and the Father in you. By it, you're going to receive power. It's going to lead you and guide you into our truth. You're going to receive power. After that, the Ruach Ha'Qodesh has come upon you, and you're going to be witnesses of me, both here in Judea and the uttermost parts of the earth, because you have this Ruach Ha'Qodesh. It's going to be exactly what you need to get the job done. You got to have it. To be established in the kingdom of Yahuah, you got to have it. To make your desires pure, you have to have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And even once you have the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you got to listen to what it says. You got to obey it. It warns you. You don't never get off in anything that's sin without being warned by the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, especially once you've had the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And without the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, you ain't got nothing that's going to sound the alarm in you because, you still dead. Trespasses, sins, right? You got to receive the entire witness, right? It's not just the water, it's not just the blood, but it's the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Paul, the 23rd chapter of Acts, the first verse. And Paul, earnestly beholding the council, said, Men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before Yahuah until this day. I have lived in good conscience until this day. Right? I have lived in good conscience until this day. Right? Why? Maybe because Paul realized that he didn't obey the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. And the high priest Ananias commanded them that stood by him to smite him in the mouth. Right? He hit him. And then said Paul unto him, Yahuah shall smite thee, thou white walls. For sittest thou in judgment of me after the Torah, and commandeth me to be smitten contrary to the Torah? Right? Paul didn't have to be here. Paul didn't have to go through this. This is all a part of Paul's personal experience consequence. Because he didn't have to be here. Listen, Paul didn't have to be in his place. Yeah. Listen, Paul did not have to be in this place. Paul said he was whitewashed, white-walled. Paul's saying, which your hands are clean? You Torah breaker, sitting here in judgment of me, right? And in all actuality, right? They didn't have grounds to stand on. Paul didn't do anything wrong except disobey the Ruach Ha'Qodesh and ended up in Jerusalem. But what he's getting now is a result of the consequences of his actions. Paul's living out the consequences of his actions. Right? He's right. Then said Paul unto him, Yahuah shall smite thee. Right? Now, Paul would have never had to been smitten. Not in Jerusalem, not because of this. Now, he was going to suffer some things afterwards. I'm sure he was, because you would say, but listen, this right here, that was because of Yahuah. That was because of Paul. Again, I want to reiterate, men of Yahuah, women of Yahuah, Akis, Okis, elders, Emas, Mores, Moras, listen. The Ruach Ha'Qodesh is telling you to pump the brakes on something. You better pump the brakes on it. The Ruach is telling you to go forward. You better go forward in it. Because Yahuah, it's about his will. It's about what he wants accomplished. You can't be a limitation. You can't be the hindrance. Now listen, ain't nobody going to hinder Yahuah's plan. But I mean that because you fail to follow through, right? Yahuah adjusts or shifts his plan. Because he did not want to obey the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, Yahuah's going to make it work another way. Because Yahuah going to do what he needs to do. And he knew he was going to have to do it. He says, Then said Paul unto him, Yahuah shall smite thee, smite thee, white wall, right? For sittest thou to judge me after the Torah, and command me to be smitten contrary to the Torah? And they that stood said, Revilest thou Yahuah's high priest? These high priests right here were puppets, y'all. These weren't the apostles and the prophets. These were these religious leaders that was still in Jerusalem in power. They were still the Sanhedrin. They were still the council of Yahuah. Right? Yahuah didn't want Paul to have to go up in that, because they knew who Paul was, and they knew what Paul was doing. Right? And then you had people that was coming from other places lying on Paul. Elders, priests. Right? He said, Revilest thou the high priest of Yahuah? Like, how you gonna talk to the high priest of Yahuah like that? Right? What? He ain't Yahuah's high priest. Then said Paul, I wist not, brethren, that he was the high priest, for it is written, Thou shalt not speak evil of the rulers of thy people. So Paul said, I didn't know he was a high priest. I didn't know. Right? I didn't know he was a high priest. Right? So the high priest Ananias commanded, verse 2, that them that stood by him to smite him on the mouth. Right? Do hit him. Right? Paul said unto him, Thou smite me? Right? Whitewash. So the man who hit Paul's like, you gonna hit me? Contrary to the law? Whitewash? That was like something that was an insult, right? And they said unto him, Revilest thou the high priest? You gonna insult the high priest, right? And Paul said, I was not, my brethren. I didn't know he was a high priest. That was a high priest. For it is written, Thou shalt not speak evil of the rulers of thy people, right? But when Paul perceived that the one parted was Sadducee, right, and the other a Pharisee, he cried out in the council, Men and brethren, I am a Pharisee. See, Paul knew how to get around stuff, right? Paul moved in the Ruach of wisdom, right? Paul knew how to make his way in and out around people, right? He knew how to draw out certain things from people, right, by what he said. Paul knew that the Pharisees and Sadducees, they just had difference of philosophies. They had differences of philosophies. Even when it came to I think one believed in resurrection, one didn't. One believed in angels, one didn't, right? So you had these two different sects, right, that were priests, right, which none of this was established under the priesthood under Aaron. Right? This is none of this. This is not that. Right? This is not that. This is a spawn of Herodian, Roman, and Jewish spawn. Talmidiym traditions of men, right? So they cried out in the council, Men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee, of the hope of the resurrection of the dead. Am I called into question? Okay, so I'm called into question because I believed in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, who was resurrected from the dead, right? And he told me to do these things. Right. And when he had so said, there arose a dissension between the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Paul created a stir. Right? Wisdom. Ruach Ha'Qodesh was still in Paul. It didn't leave him. He operated in the Ruach of wisdom. Because he realized that there was the potential of a dissension. And if there is dissension, there's no unity. And if there's no unity, there's no settlement of a thing between the people, right? He says so. For the Sadducee says there are no resurrection and neither angels nor spirits, but the Pharisees confess both. And there arose a great cry, and the scribes of the Pharisees arose and strove, saying, we find no evil in this man. All Paul had to do was mention the resurrection and being a Pharisee, right? Pharisees going to take a side because they going to always not take sides of the Sadducees over a Pharisee, right? It has nothing to do with Yahuah. It has nothing to do with righteousness. It has everything to do with the desires of men, right? These men believed in the resurrection, and Paul knew that, and Paul used that as a tool, a vehicle, to cause dissension and have people flow in his favor. He says, the Pharisees arose, and strove, saying, we find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or an angel have spoken to him, let us not fight against the law. Listen, this is a beautiful thing. This is the Ruach of wisdom. See, again, Yahuwah is going to still, in this suffering and in this event, these chain of actions, these events, he's still going to get glory. Because he knows Paul's desire is to preach Hamashiach. Even though Yahuwah didn't want him to go to Jerusalem. Yahuwah didn't want him to go to Jerusalem, but Yahuwah says, okay, I'm going to work this. It's going to work for our good. It's going to work. Paul going to be bound. He's going to lose some of his liberties. But you know what? It's going to work. So Paul uses the Ruach of wisdom. He knows what he needed to do, right? So, and when there arose a great dissension, the chief captain, fearing lest Paul should have been pulled in pieces. Pulled in pieces, right? Of them, commanded the soldiers to go down and to take him by force from among them and bring him into the castle. So, they were about to rip Paul in half. You had the Pharisees on one side, standing up for him, pulling on him, and the other ones on the other side, standing up, denying the resurrection, denying all of that, and, right? Right? Because what the original argument was, this man taught Hebrews not to be circumcised. And he brought Greeks into the temple. Profaned it. Right? Because that was the original argument. That's why they drug him out. That's why they beating him. Right? Paul gets up, speaks to him, start talking, right? Pharisees and Sadducees, they get together and, and they one pulling on the other side, one pulling on the other. He's like, oh, Pastor, well, look, men and brethren, I'm a Pharisee and I believe in, Okay. So the argument has changed, right? No. If he believes in the Ruach HaQodesh, if he believes in the resurrection and angels, then who are we to say that he hasn't done what he's done because Yahuah has told him by Ruach HaQodesh. Or they didn't say Ruach HaQodesh. He said because of some spirit spoke to him. The argument is clouded now, right? So it says here, and the night following, Adonai stood by him and said, "Be of good cheer, Shaul." Right? "For as thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, so must thou bear witness of me at Rome." Right? Right? So Yahuah had to come in and comfort Paul. Right? He had to comfort Paul. Because Paul no doubt know that he didn't listen to the Ruach HaQodesh. Right? Paul no doubt knew he didn't listen to the Ruach HaQodesh. Paul says in that first verse, "And Paul earnestly beholding the council said, Men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before Yahuah until this day." Until this day. Right? Because in me, I know that I didn't have to be here. I know that I've done what Yahuah called me to do and preach the besought in the Torah in obedience, right? And I've did everything I was supposed to do in the Ruach HaQodesh until this day, right? Now, Yahuah, right? Yahuah tells Paul, right? Right. Yahuah, where'd they go? Yahuah says to Paul, "And the night following, Adonai stood by him." Adonai stood by him. Right? And said, "Be encouraged, Paul. I know you done messed up." That's what he's saying. This is what's happening. Right? Right? He didn't have to tell Paul. If Paul was doing what was right, Paul wouldn't need to have Paul wouldn't need to be encouraged. Y'all don't hear me. Listen, it pays to obey the Ruach HaQodesh. Pays. Adonai Yahusha stood by him and said, "Be of good cheer, Paul. For as thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, so must you carry this witness also to Rome." Now you could use Paul in Rome. He could have. Right? Yahusha didn't need Shaul's witness. He didn't need Shaul's witness in Jerusalem. He had the apostles and the apostles. They were already established the witness. Didn't you hear? Listen. Where is that? Acts 21. Acts 21 and 4. "And finding the disciples, we tarried 7 days." No, I want to go down. I want to get past Agabus. I'm sorry. Verse 15. "And after those days, being in Caesarea, being with Philip, the evangelist, and his daughters, after being those days, they took up the carriage and they went up to Jerusalem. And there with us also certain of the disciples of Caesarea," right, "brought them with one Mnason of Cyprus, one Mnason of Cyprus, an old disciple of whom we would lodge. So they lodge with him, right? They stay with him. And when we were come to Jerusalem, the brethren received us gladly, right? And the days following, Paul went in with us unto James, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things Yahuah had wrought among the Gentiles by the ministry, right? And when they heard, they glorified Yahuah, Adonai, right? And said unto him, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Yahudiym in the city, right? There are which believe, right? And they are all zealous for the besought. You wouldn't need Shaul to declare him in Jerusalem. The apostles were already doing it. Right? The apostles were already doing it. Yahusha, he told them, don't go to Rome. Don't go to Jerusalem. I don't need you to go to Jerusalem. Don't go to Jerusalem. Right? Told them not to go. Don't go. Don't go to Jerusalem, right? Paul was intent on going, right? He was intent on going, right? And where we at now? All right. Right? And Acts 23:11, and the night following, Adonai stood by him. Literally, Yahusha stood by Paul. Paul standing there and Yahusha standing there. And he said, be of good cheer, Paul. Be of good cheer. Lift your head. Be of good cheer. Right? For as thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, right? You must also, so must thou also bear witness of me at Rome. Right? So, Yahusha said, yeah, Paul, you did bear witness of me in Jerusalem. But be of good, be encouraged, I understand your desire, your zeal, right? I understand you straightened at times, right? And you're in a situation now that I'm going to use for my glory. You didn't have to be in this situation, but you're here now. And I still going to work it together for your good. I'm still going to work it together for your good, because you know what? I called you. I chose you. I put my Ruach Ha'Qodesh in you. Right? Right? And I need you to still be encouraged. Now, Yahusha appeared for Paul. Adonai Yahusha. He appeared before Shaul. Right? He had to encourage Paul. Because Paul knew he was in a place that he didn't have to be in. He was in jail in a place that he didn't have to be in. And Adonai Yahusha says, I got up here before him. I got to go see him. Because I still need him to understand the work ain't finished. Yeah, you took a right when I told you to keep straight. Yeah, you did. But I still need you to testify. I still need you to go in Rome because you the man. Right? And when it was day, certain of the Jews banded together and bound themselves under a curse, saying that they would neither eat nor drink till they had killed Paul. Right? Hebrews. law keepers, bound themselves under a curse. They won't eat or drink. They gonna fast until they kill Paul. Yeah, they must have died because they weren't killing Paul, right? And they were more than 40 which had made this conspiracy. They got 40 men that are fasting under a curse that they will not eat until they kill Paul. 40 men. 40 Yahudiym that haven't received the witness. That Paul testified to. Didn't make a difference. 40 of them. Right? And they came to the chief priests and elders and says, we have bound ourselves under a curse that we will eat nothing till we have slain Paul. 40 men. They came to the chief, right? Came to the chief priest, right? Ananias, right? And elders, right? Now therefore ye with the council signify to the captain that he bring him down unto you tomorrow, as though ye would inquire something more perfectly concerning him, and we or over he come near, we will be ready to kill him. So listen, right? So these Jews, right, decided they made a vow to kill Paul, went to the chief priest and said, listen, we know you can get Paul back down here, right? Because the captain will bring you back, bring him down here just so you can ask him some more questions, because, captain's going to feel like he needs some more information too. So he's going to send him down to you. When you get him down here, listen, then we're going to do the deed. We're going to do the deed. We're going to do it. We're going to kill him. Jews, Hebrews. Just like they killed the Mashiach. They're going to kill him. Right? And when Paul's sister's son heard of their lying in wait, he went and entered into the castle and told Paul. So Paul's sister, son, heard what was going to happen. Right? Right? Now, I don't even know. I'm not even sure that there's any other record of his sister's son. At anywho, right? It was Shaul's sister's son. They warned him, right? Right? Then Paul called one of the centurions unto him, saying, bring this young man unto the chief captain, for he hath a certain thing to tell him, right? So he took him and brought him to the chief captain and said, Paul, the prisoner, called me unto him and prayed me to bring this young man unto thee, for he hath something to say unto thee, right? And then the chief captain took him by the hand and went with him aside privately and asked him, what is it that thou hast to tell me? So this little boy, right, got away into Paul and told Paul, Uncle Paul, listen, the Jews have the 40 men of them. They decided that they had a vow, and they went to chief priests, and chief priests, they got a plan. They want to kill you, and they're going to try to get you here. He said, yeah? Well, listen, I need you to go tell the captain this, right? Right? And he said, the Jews have agreed to desire thee that thou would bring Paul tomorrow into the council, as though they were inquiring something of him more perfectly, right? But do not thou yield unto them, for they lie in wait for him, for them more than 40 men, which have bound themselves with an oath, that they will neither eat nor drink till they kill him. And now are they ready, looking for a promise from thee. So the chief captain then let the young man depart, and charged him, see that you tell no man that thou hast showed these things to me, because they'll kill you. They'll kill you. Don't you tell nobody. Right? 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 And he called unto him 2 centurions, saying, make ready 200 soldiers to go to Caesarea, and horsemen 70, 30 horsemen, right? And spearsmen 200 at the 3rd hour of the night. So, gather all of this, this mini army. Grab this mini army, because he got 40 Jews that's going to try to kill Paul, right? And provide them beasts that they may set, and provide them beasts that they may set Paul on, and bring him safely to Festus, the governor. So go get Paul under heavy guard and take him to Festus. Right? Take him to Festus. Right? Let me see how far this is. Yeah. Take him, no, not Festus, Felix. Take him to Felix, the governor. And he wrote a letter after this manner. Claudius Lysis, the most excellent governor Felix, sending greetings. This man was taken of the Jews, and should have been killed of them. Then I came with my army and rescued rescued him, having understood that he was a Roman. Lies, right? But he had to lay the framework, so he didn't incriminate himself, right? Because he was ready to bound him and all that, and he shouldn't have, right? So, and when I would have known the cause whereof they accused him, I brought him forth unto their council. When I wanted to know what they were accusing him of, I brought him unto their council, so I could hear what they were going to say and what was going on, right? Right? Whom I perceived to be accused of question of their law, right? But to have nothing laid to his charge worthy of death or to be bound. So he said, listen, I took him to the council, but I need to find out, because, I don't think he did anything worthy of being bound, but they were going to bound him, because, he binded Paul. Paul's like, is it lawful for you to bind up a Roman citizen? Come on now. He laying it down there, but he ain't incriminated himself because he understands, right? He says, and when it was told me how that the Jews laid in wait for the man, I sent straightway to thee, and gave commandment to the accusers also to say wherefore thee what they had against him, farewell. Right, so that's what he said he did, right? Then the soldiers, as it was commanded them, took Paul and brought him by night to Antiparatus, right? And on the morrow they left the horsemen to go with him and return to the castle, who when they came to Caesarea and delivered the epistle of the governor, presented Paul also before him. And when the governor had read the letter, he asked of what province he was. And when he understood that he was of Cilicia, I will hear thee, he said, when thine accusers are also come. And he commanded him to be kept in Herod's judgment hall, right? Okay, so the takeaway is, we know Paul was in this situation because Paul did not give heed to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? And Paul understood he was in a situation where he was in because he didn't give heed to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? Yahusha understood that he needed to comfort Paul because he appeared to Paul, right next to Paul. Paul was standing there, and Yahusha appeared right there before Paul, told Paul to be of good courage, be of good cheer. Right? That's something you say to somebody who's down because they know they made a decision that wasn't right. Right? Look, man, don't worry about it. It's okay. Pick yourself up. Right? You know you made the wrong decision, but it's okay. We're going to work it out. Right? We're going to work it out. Right? So Yahushua told him, said, look, be of good cheer. Listen, the same way you witnessed in Jerusalem, I need your witness in Rome. Don't lose heart. You're in bonds. You're going to have to defend yourself. But I'm with you. Because I need you to go to Jerusalem. I need you to go to Jerusalem. Right? I need you to go to Rome. Right? Paul was prepared to die in Jerusalem. But Paul's ministry was to the Gentiles. He needed to go to Rome. Right? And no doubt Yahushua would have got him into Rome. Right? Right? But not under these circumstances. Right? All he needed to do was obey the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Right? And in obedience to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, there's favor. Now, because Yahushua has met Paul, he's established with Paul. Look, it's okay. Still going to use you. Right? I'm still going to do what I need to do through you. Right? You just need to continue to listen to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. I guess the thing is, because Adonai Yahusha appeared before Paul in the vision and told him, listen, don't be afraid of the people here. Because I got many people here. Don't be afraid to declare the word. Right? Athens, Ephesus, and all over the place Paul was. Paul was in Ephesus. He was in Asia. Listen. Don't be afraid. Be of good cheer. And that's the takeaway. All of these hoops that Paul's jumping through are consequences to his decision to not take heed to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. All these hoops that Paul now has to jump through, being locked up. Yahushua could have took him into Rome as a free man and chose where and how he wanted to witness with Shaul in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Right? Man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen. The besought of truth. This Shabbat. It is imperative. You hear me? It is of most importance, right? You hear me? It is of paramount importance that you understand that it is by Yahuwah's Ruach Ha'Qodesh, right? And how we have an obligation, right? We have an obligation to listen to Yahusha. We have an obligation to obey Yahuwah's Torah. We have an obligation to be led by his Ruach HaQodesh, to abide in his witness. And when we deviate from that, there's consequences. Doesn't matter how pure or righteous our motives are. If we do what's opposite of what the Ruach HaQodesh tells us to do, listen, there's consequences. Yahuah, I pray that these, your people, would hear your word on your Shabbat. I pray that these, your people, would be quickened by your Ruach HaQodesh. I pray these, your people, would hear your word and that it would bring life and peace. Shalom. Shabbat shalom. Yahuah, I thank you for your word. I pray in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach that you would keep me always. Lead me always in every way, every moment, every situation and circumstances. In the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, because you have given me what I need in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh to complete the job. And all I need to do is listen. Yahuah, I pray that they would hear your voice. Yahuah, I pray that I would always hear your voice. And Yahuah, if I don't, please send somebody with the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, with a word from the Ruach Ha'Qodesh that will cause me to understand it's you. Yahuah, I pray this in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. I pray healing over the people of Yahuah, that you would quicken. I pray deliverance over the people of Yahuah, that you would deliver. Sanctified through thy truth, for thy word is truth. I thank you for all that you do on this Shabbat, and I give you praise. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. You, Yahuah, my strength and my redeemer. Listen, man of Yah, woman of Yah, it's the Shabbat. And I say Shabbat Shalom to you. Listen. Always remember, in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh, listen, we have to obey Yahuah. We have to obey Yahuah. We can't do what we want. We can't do as we want. Our intentions may be the best intentions in the world, but we have to listen to the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. We have to listen to the Ruach. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, with that I say, listen, it's the Shabbat. And with the Shabbat comes the rest of Yahuah. And the rest of Yahuah is complete in the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. So with that I say, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Be blessed, you and your house, and enjoy the favor of Yahuah's rest in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach's witness in the Ruach Ha'Qodesh.
Torah Guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.